Hey there everyone, my name is Franky Chapa and this is my Draw My Life. I was born on February 23rd, 1995 at Kauai Delta Hospital in Visalia, but I grew up in a small town of Orange Cove that was just nearby. When I was born, I weighed 10 pounds 9 ounces and the doctors said that I had the possibility of being born with Down syndrome. But I guess they were wrong. My dad's name is Hector and my mom's name is Maria. They were married for about 30 years until they had finally gone divorced. My mom was kind of sad about it, but she just let it go and moved on. I have 3 older brothers. The oldest is married, second oldest is also married, and then there's me and my third oldest who still live with our mom. In total, I have 8 nieces and nephews, so you can imagine the house parties that we have. All of them ranging from 5-year-olds to 13-year-olds, and we have 2 sets of twins. My third oldest brother is Jesus, second oldest brother is Bobby with his wife Leslie, and finally the oldest is Hector with his wife Monica. When I was old enough to start school, I started at McCord Elementary, where my mom worked as a bilingual community aide, which was just a fancy phrase for translator. I remember walking up to those gates and being super nervous. I didn't know what to expect or what was going to happen to me, but after a while, I kind of got used to it and actually really enjoyed it. In the early years of childhood, I remember playing tetherball with this girl named Bernadette. We would pass the ball around the pole and just instantly became friends. I remember that we used to argue about when we actually met, with whether it was 2nd grade or 3rd grade. She thinks it's 2nd grade, but I think it's 3rd grade, and I know that I'm right. So Bernadette, if you're watching this, which I know you are, I'm right. There was a lot of inspirational people at that school, like Mrs. Franks and Mrs. Cisneros, but there's one in particular that is still in my heart to this day, and that is Mrs. Wolf. Mrs. Wolf was a very close and personal friend to my mom and was also the secretary to the school. I remember when my mom had to stay and work, she would take me home. And when we would go home in her van, we would always use our walkie-talkies and pretend that we were in a rocket ship or flying on a magic carpet as we went home. Those were some of the greatest memories of my childhood. And as much as I wanted them to continue, they had to come to an end. Sometime between 3rd and 4th grade, Mrs. Wolf had to retire. She was so sad to leave all of us behind, especially me. I was so sad, and I remember running out of the cafeteria and going to go cry to my mom. And after that, I didn't think that it would be as fun, that it wouldn't be as entertaining as it would be without Mrs. Wolf, but me being the positive person that I am, just tried to keep on trucking through. And so the years after that just seemed to fly by to the end of my elementary school year. I remember just playing tetherball with Bernadette mostly. And I remember specifically in the 5th grade, Bernadette revealed to me that she had a pretty big crush on me. And by crush, I kind of mean obsession. A crazed obsession, to be more exact. And I remember telling her that we were just friends, that there was nothing that was going to happen between us. But I guess she didn't really take that to heart, and she was still in love with me. But I kind of just let that go after a while. After I graduated from elementary school, it was off to middle school. It was Citrus Middle School, which was actually down a little ways away from the elementary school that I went to. And I remember it being so incredibly nervous and excited at the same time. I was nervous because of the new environment, but I was excited because I got to see all my old friends. I remember being really excited because I was able to see Bernadette again and in this new middle school and all of these new adventures that we would have. And we met these two other people as well, and they became part of our group, but I can't seem to remember their names. And I'm sorry to those two people, or those three, I don't remember. I remember sometime during the 6th grade that there was this girl that I started to like, and I remember being too nervous to actually ask her, so I had somebody else ask me. But they ended up telling me that they said no, and that kind of made me feel really sad, because what 6th grader wants to be rejected when he likes somebody? And the rejections continued. One after another girl said no, or you look gay, and they really started to hurt my feelings. And the name calling just didn't stop with them. It spread throughout the whole school. Everybody was calling me things like gay and crybaby and mama's boy, and all of their words just started to really hurt me. I remember going to bed at night and just thinking to myself, why am I still alive? And I remember talking to my mom about this and how they would make fun of me and everything. And she would just hug me and she would say that I am so handsome and that you're just sweet and all of these really nice things. And she told me that everything was just going to be okay. And I wanted to believe her, and so I did. I put on a smile and I just kept on thinking positive. And even though I thought positive, the name calling just continued. It continued on to 7th and even 8th grade. I remember sometime in the 7th grade, I had worked up the courage to actually ask out Bernadette, and Bernadette at the time had still had that crazy obsession crush on me. And I was just like, hey, you want to go out? And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah, let's go out. And she was like, okay. But after a week, I realized that I didn't really have feelings for her and I had to end it. And she was just so devastated, and I felt so bad, and I still feel bad to this day. And even though I kept on telling her no and no after I don't know how many times of her asking for another chance, there came a time right before graduation where she gave me this letter, and on the letter it read something along the lines of, I don't want to be your friend anymore if I can't be with you. And that's what really started to bring me down. And I just felt like, why me? Why does all this bad stuff have to happen? Why do I have to lose my best friend? But like the person that I am, I just put on a smile, walked down the aisles, and I graduated my middle school with a 2.0 grade point average, which is a pretty bad grade point average because I was pretty bad at math. I barely even passed it to begin with. After graduation, I had the choice between going to Reedley High School or Orange Grove High School. But with Reedley High School, I had a chance to have a new life, to meet new people, and to have a second chance. Whereas with Orange Grove High School, I would have the same life with the same people and just more and more ridicule. So obviously I went with the better choice and I went to Reedley High School. Going to Reedley High School, I was just completely and utterly nervous about it because I knew nobody there except for my brother Hector, who was a teacher there, and my brother Jesus, who was a student there at the time. But them being there made it a little bit better for me. I was still nervous, but still pretty bad. And so I spent most of my time in the library reading books on the couch and just talking with the librarian and stuff. I remember that there was this one day that my brother's friend Laramie had come up to me and asked me if I wanted to go hang out with her at her bench, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was really nervous and shy because I never really talked to people. And so I walk up to the bench and immediately I'm greeted by all of these people like Laura, Jennifer, Amy, Megan, Jacob, and DJ. And all of these people made me feel welcome, and like one of them, I felt like I belonged. And it really brought up my spirits, and it really made me think that everything was going to be okay. Now, I was a really big choir nerd. I love singing and I love to perform. Even though I felt like I was really bad at it, I just sang whenever I wanted to. And I remember throughout that year, we sang and we performed at a whole bunch of different concerts. And by the end of it, Mr. Lepp was like, "You're Chapa's brother. You're going to be in Madrigals next year." And I was just in complete and utter shock. I was just like, what? I was just completely amazed. And so the next year I was in Madrigals, and I remember meeting Aaron and Bernadette, different Bernadette, mind you, Sydney, Sarbia, DJ, and we all were sophomores at the time, and it was just like a little family, another little family that I had made at the high school. And even though we didn't really talk throughout our 3 years together, we were still pretty close. Along with being a sophomore in high school, I met this girl named Daisy who was a freshman at the time, and we really hit it off right there. We became like almost instant best friends like Bernadette did. And so, like Bernadette, we had started talking a lot, and I remember that there was this one day where I was laying on my bed and she was probably laying on her bed. I don't really know what she was doing at the time, but we were texting, and I remember telling her that I liked her. And she said the same thing to me, and she thought that she liked me too. And so we got together, but after a while, I just couldn't take it anymore. And so I had to break it off, and that really, it upset me deeply. And after that, I really started to think that what if I really am gay? And so after about 3 months, there was this girl named Jessica who was another one of my close friends, and she had pulled me aside and she wanted to talk to me. The gist of it was saying that she liked me and she wanted to go out with me. And at that moment, I just took the chance, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gay. I'm sorry. And she actually took it pretty well. She was just like, oh, okay. And we just became friends after that. And after that, I was just like, this feels right. Like, this is who I'm supposed to be, and it's time I stopped pretending. And I remember just completely breaking out of my shell and talking to people and just being really open. I remember joining my drama club, the drama club that was there, and doing all kinds of different plays and musicals, and that really helped me to open up and actually be more myself. And so I finally decided between sophomore and junior year that I needed to find someone, because there weren't a lot of people at the high school that I was at. And so I went to Meet Me, which was my yearbook at the time. And I remember that there was this one guy named Thane, who was this really nice and sweet boy. But the problem is that while I lived in California, he lived all the way in Wisconsin. But we ended up getting together, and we would always text and just send cute messages to each other, and we would talk on the phone for hours on end. And we were together for a good 3 years. But after those 3 years, the distance started to really break us apart, and so I ended up ending it because of the distance and the struggle that it is to keep a relationship like that. But those 3 years, I got over it after a while. And so after the breakup, I decided, you know what? I need to figure out where I'm going to go to college. And so, last minute decision, I decided to go to Reedley College, which was the college that's basically right next to the high school that I was at. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna go there. And so after getting my diploma, I graduated with like a 2.6 something. I don't even know. I can't even remember, and that was not so long ago. And so being in college, I have made all kinds of new friends, and I actually have a new boyfriend, and his name's Michael, and we've been together about a month now. And then I have this really tight group of new friends, and I couldn't ask for anything better. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.